Я буду красивей и стану моложе, если биткоин будет стоить дороже.
Hello, Andy. We are right now on the Slowly Satoshi channel. This is the biggest community in Russian-speaking society. So, welcome, Andy Broberg, CEO of EcoBrand. Hello, Andy.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
First of all, thank you for Coinlist because all our community earned lots of money, first of all, and we are as a part of community. So, first of all, thank you very much for Coinlist. But tell us how the Coinlist idea came to your mind, when, and how do you feel about the fact that the competitors start to copying you?
Yeah. So Coinlist was a collaboration between a lot of different people, and it really started with the Filecoin token sale. So Protocol Labs, who built Filecoin, was going to run their token sale, and they needed a way to do it. And they needed to figure out compliance and KYC and all these things. And so they went and talked to AngelList, which is a large startup investing platform, mostly in the United States, who specializes in compliance and investment management, but more for startups than for crypto projects. And they asked AngelList for help. And so the two kind of groups partnered together, Protocol Labs and AngelList, and said, well, let's run the Filecoin token sale. And then once they started talking more and more about that, they realized that every single token project was going to need that exact same set of services. It wasn't just Protocol Labs and Filecoin, it was everyone was going to need that. And so they made the decision to create a new platform. And so I came in at that point as the co-founder of Coinlist, along with my other co-founders, to run that new operation. And so we said, great, we're taking this idea that's so clearly going to work for Protocol Labs, Filecoin, and AngelList working together, and we're going to make it bigger. And we're going to bring it to every single token project out there and allow all of the best projects to run their token sales on Coinlist. And so that's how the idea came about. It was in kind of mid to late 2017 that Coinlist started at that moment. And there have been competitors forever since we got started. There were competitors in 2017. There are competitors now. And I think the thing that we always held dear and really cared about was that we were only going to partner with the best projects. And there was a temptation to allow lots and lots and lots of projects to use the platform and allow anyone to run a token sale on the platform. And that probably would have made more money for Coinlist in the early days if we had allowed everyone to run a token sale. Anyone that wants to do it can come and run a token sale. But we made the decision that to build a long-term business, to be successful in the long run, we needed to differentiate by only allowing the best projects on the platform. And so there's a really rigorous vetting process for projects that run on Coinlist. And that's, I think, how Coinlist has differentiated itself. And now I would argue that it really is and has been the premier place for the best token sales because of that fixation on quality. And the last thing I'll say there is, have we missed some great token sales? We've missed some. There have been some amazing projects that didn't run their sale on Coinlist, and that happens. But by and large, I think the vast majority of the most successful projects out there, Coinlist has found a way to work with them and partner with them. And that's really what differentiates it and separates it from the competitors.
Before I ask why you blocked my account and Rafael's account, I'm joking. How did you choose the best projects? What is the secret? It's
hard, and as with anything, you guys know this very well, it's subjective, right? It's opinions and decisions. There's no, simple, straightforward, obvious answer there. And so, I think for us, it's a matter of vetting a number of things. It starts with vetting the team. So the team of the project has to be exceptional. That's where you have to start. After the team, you have to vet the product itself. What are they building? Does it make sense? Is it going to be something that people are going to want to use? You have to vet the market and make sure that they're attacking a big market and that it's something that's going to make waves. And there's a couple other things that I think are very specific to crypto projects that are really important to vet. One of them is the tokenomics of the project. and going really deep down that rabbit hole of, do the tokenomics make sense? Do the pieces fit together? Is this going to be a successful project from that perspective? And then the last thing is vetting the kind of legal approach and the compliance and making sure that the team's doing everything above board and is going to do things the right way. And so those are the kind of some of the criteria that we tended to look at when we were vetting projects. But at the end of the day, it's just a matter of getting really smart people around the table who have seen a lot of projects succeed and fail, and collecting opinions and making decisions. A lot like the way investors make decisions, I think. And you look at all of these same things as an investor, and those are the sorts of things that Coinlist uses to vet projects.
Yeah, and one more thing about profitable projects. I mean, there is some projects like Casper. It's a great blockchain technology, as far as I know, or Vega, but we didn't saw the huge profit. Why do you think? What is the secret? Why some projects are making 10 or 100x, some of them not?
It's a good question, and it's a really hard question. I think one thing I would say is that you do also have to look at these things on kind of the long-term timeline. Successful projects, every project goes through ups and downs, no matter what. Every project, even if it's up a lot, it's gone through ups and downs along the way. It always happens. And so if you take a snapshot at a moment in time, you might be taking that snapshot at a moment when it's down and it's about to come back up, and you never know. And some of Coinlist's earliest projects had a really tough time during 2018 and 2019 during the bear market, and were down from the Coinlist sale price, and now are up massively. And so it's sometimes hard to say. I also think, great projects are sometimes ahead of their time and aren't always appreciated by the market in the moment. And it's only later on that you look back and say, wow, that thing, that actually makes a lot of sense, and people get excited about it. And last thing I would say is that having a great team, a great product, great tokenomics, that's not everything. You also need to market effectively. You need to build a successful community. You need to build a lot of attention around the project. And some teams have done that really well, and some teams haven't done that well. And it's sometimes hard to tell that in advance if a team's going to market well or not. And so that's also, I think, often a factor when a project doesn't do as well. They haven't been able to kind of market themselves to the right audience as well enough.
Mm-hmm. So Coinlist has the biggest traffic. I mean, couple of 100,000 fans. But why didn't the fight against cheaters on Coinlist go on for a long time? And even after it began, we were blocked, but we are not cheaters. And what do you think about all this stuff about multi-ax cheaters?
It's a really hard topic. And to be clear, one thing I should have said this up front. I left Coinlist full time almost a year and a half ago to run Eco. And so I'm happy to talk about Coinlist, but I also am not in there every day right now. So I don't have I'm not in the office anymore. I don't work there. So there's that. I think that the challenge is, there's a couple things. One, it's just growing pains. Coinlist is scaling really, really fast. And whenever you scale fast, it's hard to keep up with things like this. But the other really important piece is it's impossible or nearly impossible in any situation, Coinlist or otherwise, to have perfect fraud and cheater detection. It's just, you just can't do it. You can't be perfect. And so at some point, I think every business that deals with fraud or with cheaters has to make a decision. And that decision is, are we going to err on the side of catching more fraud, but also potentially catching some innocent people in there? Or are we going to err on the side of allowing more fraud to happen and not catching innocent people? Because you can't get it perfect. It's just impossible to get it perfect. And different platforms make different decisions there. And some say, we are willing to deal with more fraud. We're willing to deal with more cheaters. And that means that we're going to have fewer kind of false positives, right? Fewer cases where an innocent person gets caught. And other platforms say we're going to be stricter, and that means some innocent people might get caught, but it also means we're going to really minimize the fraud. And I think you can make an argument that for either of those being more fair, right? If you say we're going to we're going to be more liberal, we're going to allow for more fraud, and that's more fair because innocent people don't get caught. So it's not fair for an innocent person to get caught. But the other side is also arguably more fair. If you say we're going to be really strict, then that means that, yeah, you do catch some innocent people, but most people don't have to deal with the effects of any fraud or any cheaters, any multi-accounts. And so it's a rock and a hard place. It's one of those problems that there's no perfect solution and you need to make a decision at some point. And I think more kind of compliance focused platforms, which Coinlist certainly is a platform that cares about compliance and approaching things in a legal and regulatorily appropriate way, tends to err on the side of being stricter. And when that happens, sometimes you inevitably catch innocent people up in it. And it's just an endless war. It's an endless cat and mouse game of fraudsters finding better ways to cheat, the platforms finding better ways to catch them, and that just happens kind of over and over and over again. Does that make sense?
So Andy, the main question, yeah, I know that you're not in office more than a year, but Raphael, as the head of a community, asks, like, he had 2.5 thousand as a karma on the Coinlist, and he is a validator of the Mina main node, and he more than 2.5 years on the Coinlist, but he was blocked, and he asked, like, can Coinlist to have much more attitude to pay attention to the high karma accounts and to communities members, because we had a very, very big noise inside of community about it.
Yeah, again, I wish I could give a better answer. I haven't been there, so I don't know, and I'm not operating there anymore, so I can't change things myself. I do know that one thing that every platform is dealing with right now is that it's hard to hire exceptional people on account management and support and all of that stuff. And so I think every platform, Coinlist and otherwise, would love to offer like standard support and then VIP support, for high karma or high reputation accounts. But you have to be able to offer baseline support for everyone first before you can start to offer special support for more people. And every platform right now is struggling with even offering baseline support to everyone and being able to respond to tickets and get back to people before even thinking about segmenting into different levels of support for different users and everything. So again, it's a growing pain thing. I think in the long run, every platform will figure out these problems and be able to offer the right level of support and attention to every account. And yeah, if you've been an account for a long time, or you have a lot of reputation there, or you've done a lot of volume or whatever, I imagine every platform will let you get special support. But I even look at Coinbase, which is obviously a public company, worth tens of billions of dollars, and they struggle with support. They've got every piece of capital available and lots of resources, and they still struggle with providing support. And you can see that if you go on Twitter, there's plenty of people struggling with that. So I wish I don't have an answer for your specific situation. I'm not there, so I can't. But I think it's all about just the scaling pains. And one thing I would say too is that you mentioned Coinlist has these hundreds of thousands of people using it and people in the community, and that's true. But that was not true a year ago, or a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. It scaled really quickly. And if you look at Coinlist's Twitter account, I think it might have been 20,000 people a year and a half ago, and now all of a sudden it's 10 times that. And anytime that happens to a company, it's a great problem to have. Obviously, it's a good situation to be in, but there's just going to be scaling and growing pains, and balls are going to get dropped. It's inevitable when you grow that quickly. And so I know the team there is working as hard as they can to resolve everything, but it's again a little bit of an impossible problem to be able to solve every case and be able to devote the attention to certain things that each case deserves.
The last year, we've seen a lot of very successful Coinlist sales. So, will the Coinlist will have the same rhythm, or something will change in 2022 because of the bear market? What is your opinion?
Yeah, just my opinion. Again, I don't know because I'm not at Coinlist. But if I were to guess, things will change. Things always change when the market changes. And if you look at Coinlist's homepage, there were a lot of sales in the end of 2017, early 2018, and then there weren't that many in 2018 and 2019, and then it picked back up. Now, with that said, I don't think that it will be as significant. This is my guess, as significant as that time. Because I think at that moment, that was really kind of 2018 and 2019 was a chilling moment for a lot of crypto, and people kind of didn't know what to do. And so there was a lot of hesitation because it was right after that first ICO boom. And so there was a lot of hesitation. But now that people have been through another cycle, I think that you'll see people continuing to build and continuing to operate and keep producing products. And that means potentially continuing to produce sales as well. So I would guess there will be an impact. I think things are always faster in a bull market than in a bear market, but I don't think it would be as severe as it was previously. And I'll also say that if you look at some of those projects that did run token sales in 2018 and 2019, those are some of the best performing projects out there. The teams that were building during the bear market, shipping during the bear market, and just continuing to make progress no matter what. I remember Solana's token sale was an auction. The market set the price and it closed at 24 cents. And on Coinlist, Solana's token sale happened at 24 cents because that's what the market was willing to pay for it. Because it was at a really bad moment in the market. But that doesn't mean it's a bad project. Clearly, it's performed unbelievably well since then. And so, yeah, I think the pace may slow down, but I don't think it says anything about the quality of the projects that ship during that time.
We want to be the first on the Russian-speaking society as the biggest community members who speak about Echo. And nowadays, first, we want to ask you, what is the project is all about, and who is the author?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things going on at Eco. And today there's two principal pieces today. One of them is this Eco app. And this is a product that's unfortunately only available in the US right now, although we're working on expanding it. And it replaces your bank with something better, a single wallet for your whole financial life. But what the secret is, we don't really talk about this publicly that much. What the secret is that a lot of it is powered by crypto on the back end. Stable coins and stablecoin lending, and crypto powers this product. But on the front end, it doesn't look like crypto at all. It doesn't show off that it's kind of crypto powered in an overt or obvious way. And what that means is that it's really becoming the first ever bridge for the mainstream, for normal people to use crypto. And for me, this is part of the holy grail of crypto, that what we've been waiting for years is a way for normal people, for non-crypto people that aren't savvy, to be able to use this technology and become a part of this movement. And the Eco app does that by providing a better option for you to save and spend your money, a better product that's powered by crypto on the back end, and allows people to onboard to this ecosystem without needing to get a MetaMask wallet or learn how to do all of these things and do it much more simply. So that's one piece of the Eco initiative today. The other piece is our community. So this incredible community of crypto savvy people. And we only let people into the community if they are, in fact, savvy about crypto. And I'll give a little tip here just for your audience. If you sign up on our website, if you go to our website, there's no link to Discord, no link to the community. But if you sign up on our website in a browser that has MetaMask installed, we detect that and we then send you to the community. So that's the only way to get in, is if you're already savvy enough to have a browser wallet installed. And that means that community is just crypto people. And in that community, a lot of amazing things happen. I invite people to come and join. One of the most important things is that we have what we call eco points. And these points are sent around between people as a kind of rewards currency, building a pro-social, very positive kind of rewards layer for participation in the community. And it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. It's really incredible. And those are the two main initiatives of what Eco is doing right now. This community, building cohesion and starting to do interesting economic research and learning how to do things together, to work together, and this product that's building a bridge to the mainstream. And where we're going in the future is increasingly bringing those two things together into one massive initiative to rethink the way that money can work, and rethink the way that communities can collaborate, and rethink the way that people can work together towards a better financial future. And so that's what we're all about. There's lots that we aren't saying yet, and we should talk more probably in a few months, and we'll be able to share more about some of how that's coming together. But at a high level, those are our initial initiatives right now, and they're beginning to converge into one thing.
Why did the project itself appear long before the appearance of the coin on the blockchain, and what is the main aim of the project?
So we have not yet announced anything about a coin or token publicly yet, and I think the most important thing from my perspective, after having seen a lot of projects launch on Coinlist, is that community has to be a genuine thing. And this goes, I think, to one of the questions that you asked earlier about certain projects on Coinlist performing well and certain projects on Coinlist performing poorly. And my belief is that projects need to start building community long before they have their most important launches. Because if you wait until you launch, all of a sudden you're scrambling to build community and attract people and bring people in line with the project's beliefs at the same time you're trying to do something really big. And my view has been that community is important to build from day zero, and making sure that you're building a community of people who are aligned with the ideals of the project, who understand what the project is trying to do and what's important to the project, that all of those things are really critical for the success of projects in the long term. And then on top of that, I think it's really important to allow community to have a voice in crafting the direction of the project. And if projects start building community too late, if they launch everything and then they start building a community, the community can't have a voice in the direction of the project. Instead, the community is only joining after the fact and evaluating what the team has done. But we believe that community is one of the most powerful forces out there. And I think the evidence for this, if you think about the most successful crypto projects in the world, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum by a long shot. And Bitcoin and Ethereum were built by communities. They didn't flourish as independent things with just a small group of people driving it. The communities contributed to these projects over time and built them into what they are. And I think it's really important to be able to have that dynamic if you're going to be successful. And so creating that sort of situation is critical for the long-term success of the project.
How the token itself will participate in the ecosystem of Echo?
Like I said, we haven't announced anything about a token or anything like that yet. So we don't have much to share on that front. What I will say though is that something that we do have in the community right now is these eco points that I was talking about. And these eco points, the way we describe them is as a very positive social layer for the internet, a way to kind of send people something that's meaningful in some sort of substantial way. And you can send points on Discord right now. You can also send points on Twitter. And we kind of grant points to people. We give the points to people, and then people can send them around to others in their community or in their social network or anything like that. And that's the foundation for the future, we think, is this very positive rewards currency that serves as an interesting and more substantial layer than kind of classic internet points. An upvote on Reddit or a like on Twitter doesn't do anything for you. It's not anything you have or own. It's nothing really, other than just a little signal from someone. And we're trying to build something more substantial that can create a more kind of valued drive there. And so what we're trying to do with these points is bring people into that philosophy. And then, like I was saying earlier, the importance of community is in getting everyone aligned about the philosophy and the ideals of a project. What matters to a project? What are they going for? What's the vision of the future that they believe in? And then having the community contribute to the evolution of that. With those ideals in mind, how do you then help create that future? And I think that's what we've done so well at Eco and in the Eco community, is everyone's aligned around this financial future that we're building. This vision of a world where there's alignment between you and the institutions that you use, between you and your friends, between you and everyone in the world. And this more aligned financial future is what we're going for. And so then it's up to not only us on the Eco team, but also the entire Eco community to co-create that vision and to do things together that can lead to that future. And so, one thing, we've got these bounties in the Eco Discord, in the Eco community. People can participate in these challenges and earn points, but work together to do things. And so one great example right now is that there's a challenge, a multi-part challenge that we've been running, where the community has been researching DAOs, has been researching decentralized autonomous organizations and how they work and what works well and what doesn't work well, and is now coming together as an entire community to produce a report on best practices for a DAO and best practices for how these organizations can work. And that's the sort of collaboration that we want to drive in this community towards a future where everyone's participating in the creation of what that looks like.
Yeah, as far as I remember, so we could go to a Discord and we can do some tasks and to earn points. And then I noticed that there is some persons who sold these points. The price was like $2 and then it was like $1. So it was a real exchange, of these points. So, and it was the graph, with really with the candles, like it was $2 per point, then $1. So what is your attitude to the fact that the points are selling?
It's not something we condone or necessarily even support on our end. Points are meant to be owned by the people that have them. And we recognize that people can do whatever they want with their points. Our focus right now is on building this kind of internal economy within the community, where people are sending each other points for doing things and helping each other out and creating this rewards layer. If people want to do things with their points outside of that, they're welcome to do so. It's their right. They own the points. That's always been our attitude, but not something we support, not something we are working on, not something we necessarily want to see or drive or anything like that. But things happen when you give people ownership of stuff, and so it's something that might be happening out there.
What main advantages does Project Echo have over its competitors? And maybe there is a huge market and you have just part of it, like maybe why not Visa, maybe, for example?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a bunch of pieces there. So when we think about changing the financial system, we have this phrase that we use a lot, smart money. And it's meant to point to this idea that today everything in the world is smart. I've got a smartphone. I see advertisements for smart dog collars and smart fridges and smart toasters and everything's smart, but our money is not smart. Our money is the same money that we've always had, and it's using the same infrastructure that we've always used to move money around. And so we're trying to bring about what we call smart money future. And what smart money means to us is three things. It means better financial products, the actual interface you use to interact with your money, a better product. It means better infrastructure, so better, more efficient, cheaper infrastructure to move money around. And it means better alignment. Because right now, banks and financial institutions are not acting in your best interests. And it's not malicious, it's not evil, but their profit motive and their incentives are such that they're trying to do things that take money out of your pocket. And that's why interest rates are near zero globally. You don't make money when you give it to a bank anymore. And that's a change from how things historically have been. And so for Eco, our advantage over our competitors is that we're improving all three of those facets. We're building, first of all, a way better product to interface with your money. That's orders of magnitude better than any product out there today for interacting with your money, better than any bank's product that you can ever find. Second, it's better infrastructure. And a lot of that is the crypto rails and using stable coins and using this kind of blockchain technology to move money around more efficiently and cheaper. Build on better infrastructure than the decades-old infrastructure that most of money movement uses. And there's better alignment and building around a business model that actually puts us on the same side as our users and has us work in their best interests as opposed to against their best interests. And so part of that, you can even think about that through the lens of these points. These points are things we're just giving away to people for doing good and positive things. And that's a total paradigm shift from the way that traditional financial institutions would operate, where they'd only give you a reward for something of value that puts money in their pocket. And so we're trying to change all of these things at once, the product, the infrastructure, and the alignment. And that's what's giving us a leg up. Now, it's a hard road because these incumbents, these old financial institutions, this old system that we're trying to beat is massive and it's dominant. And so we have to attack it intelligently and take clever approaches. And that's why you start to see things like first this Eco app, even if it's only in the US as a starting place, and then this community that's global and earning points and contributing together and building towards this better future. And then much more to come, especially over the coming months. We'll have more to share about what else we're building.
So what is your attitude to decentralization? This question is very important for us as a community because we are, not the fans, but And I'm not sure. Can I ask you this question? But I will. Which blockchain you choose for Echo?
So we again haven't announced anything about a token yet. Currently, on the back end of our application, we use Ethereum to move stable coins around. So that's on our product. That's just the app, and that's how we move stable coins around today. We haven't said anything about the future where we might be going, but that's the current state of the project, to be transparent there. But more importantly, I think, is the first part of your question, which is our attitude towards decentralization. And my view, I can't think of many concepts that have changed my life more than the idea of decentralization. It's something I believe in deeply. And I got into crypto in 2012, in 2012, 2013. I started the Stanford Bitcoin group with a professor named Balaji Srinivasan, who went on to be the CTO of Coinbase. And we started researching Bitcoin in 2012. And the thing that captured us was the idea of decentralization, the idea of a financial system that wasn't run by any single entity, that was community governed and aligned with the people that used it. And that's kept me in the space since then, is these ideals of decentralization. And I think the reality that we all have to be aware of is that every idea starts in the mind of a single person, and it spreads. And ideas spread and are contributed to by more and more people. And decentralization isn't something that exists from day zero. Bitcoin wasn't decentralized on day zero. It was just Satoshi. That was it. And what happened? Decentralization is a progressive process. And I believe that the most successful initiatives in the world over the next decades and centuries will be the ones that achieve the widest decentralization. And that the more decentralized you are, the more the communities control these projects, the more successful they will be. And I think you're seeing that right now. Again, the speed with which Bitcoin has become an enormous asset is faster than anything else in the world ever has. And that's because of the power of decentralization, the power of communities governing something. And so for me, a lot of my view is, how do you increase the speed of decentralization? How do you get to that? So it's not a binary thing. Something's not either centralized or decentralized. It's a progressive process. It's a spectrum. And I think success will come from progressing along that spectrum as quickly as possible. And so that's something I believe a lot in. And also something I would suggest when people are looking at projects, look at it on that spectrum and say, how quickly is this project becoming decentralized? And I think that the faster that happens, the more successful the project is likely to be.
Will you build the bridges to maybe to Cosmos, to Polkadot, to, I don't know?
Yeah, we'll do whatever is necessary to build the best experience for our users and for our community. And we're very open-minded on that. That's something that is important to us, is being pragmatic. We're not idealists about, one thing being the ultimate thing. No, we believe in doing whatever is best for the users. Now, part of the reason we haven't said much yet or announced much on different fronts like this is because we don't have to yet. Things are progressing as we've intended for them to progress. And so we would rather wait, and we would rather see as much data as we can possibly see on the relative benefits of different chains and different ecosystems before we make decisions. And there's no reason, from my perspective, to commit yourself to certain paths before you have to. And this is one of the biggest learnings I have from my time at Coinlist, is that projects, a very common mistake that projects make is publicly committing themselves to a certain path before they have to. And then, because the crypto industry changes so quickly, all of a sudden afterwards, they realize they made the wrong decision, and it's very hard to change it once you publicly committed to something. And so one of our views, and we talk about this with our community all the time, it's frustrating sometimes, we know, that we don't share everything. But the reason we don't share everything is because we don't want to commit to something before we are certain. Because we want every single thing that we say to be ironclad. That when we say it, you can trust it, because we have thought through and we have realized this is something we're definitely willing to commit to. And so we've gone that path of sharing less, but only things that we know to be true, things that we are absolutely certain we're going to follow through on, rather than speculatively sharing many things. And so to your question about bridges and different chains and all that stuff, we will do whatever's necessary, but we won't make those decisions until we have to. And as soon as we make those decisions definitively, then we'll announce it to our community and we'll let them know exactly what we're doing. But before that, it's all speculation, and there's no reason to share things that we might not follow through on.
Yeah, because, I'm very curious, and will you cooperate with Chia?
Chia?
Yeah.
Chia is an amazing project. Again, I don't know whether we will or we won't cooperate with them. We'll be watching them, but I think Chia is a great project. It's fascinating, and it's very differentiated from some of the other projects out there in terms of its approach. And so I'm very curious to see how that plays out over the coming 6 or 12 months, because it kind of stands alone as a very different approach from every other project out there in terms of consensus mechanism and just general system design. So I'm definitely watching that one along with many others, but she is a good one to watch.
As far as we know, your application nowadays working on iPhone only in States, not in Russia or Ukraine. So is there any plans to start somewhere here? Because we are waiting for it. And why only iPhone? Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's correct. Only iPhone, only in the United States. And the reason for that is really just a bandwidth reason. We're hiring as fast as we can, but we want to make sure we're providing the best possible service to existing users rather than weakening the service and providing it to more people. And so we want to always provide the best possible service. That's one of our core ideas. So we want to expand geographically. We want to expand to Android. We have obviously a huge community all over the world that we want to service, but we have to do that at the right pace. And one of the challenges with offering this product, not in the US or in any additional country, is every country comes with its own compliance burden, its own kind of financial system that we have to integrate with. And so it's hard, it takes a lot of effort, but it's absolutely something we want to do. But what I will say is that we believe eco has to be a global movement. It cannot just be in the US for it to be successful. It must be a global movement. And in fact, the US will ultimately be a very small part of eco because the US is a small part of the world. There's much more out there and we need to serve the whole world. And so what we've done, even though we can't offer our financial product, Eco app, in other places other than the US, the community is open to all. In the community, you can earn Eco points, you can participate in the growth of this system. And we want to make sure that those are different things. Obviously, the app and the community are different things, but we want to treat both of them with very high regard. In fact, I would argue, given my attitudes about decentralization, my attitudes about what matters, my background, the community matters more than anything else. And that's something we always say, is that community is what matters. Eco is built around its community. And so there's plenty to do and participate in the community. And even if you can't use our product yet, which we're working on, there's lots to do and engage with and become a part of Eco, even if the product's not available.
Am I right that this is like a small centralized exchange, or even decentralized exchange and a bank in a phone? That's the main idea of this application, because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. The application is meant to be your whole financial life in one place. So it's not a bank, but it's meant to replace a bank. We don't yet offer exchange functionality, but it's on the roadmap. We want you to do everything from this app. Saving, spending, sending, trading, everything should be available within this product over time. And I think part of that is that it's kind of silly that today I have 10, 15 financial apps on my phone. I've got my bank app, credit card apps, I've got Venmo and Cash App and Coinbase and Coinlist and all of these different products. And why? My money's in 15 different places. It's hard to keep track of. It's hard to move money around. Why isn't there just one single place for your whole financial life, one simple balance that is not a headache to manage? And so that's ultimately what this product is trying to be, is a single place for your whole financial life. And that app is a centralized product. The app is certainly centralized, but it's meant to be just one part of the broader ecosystem that we're building around these points and around our community. And so the app is just one piece of it.
When is the start date of Echo?
When is the start date?
Yeah.
Well, the company started in 2017. So it's been 2017, 2018. So it's been around 4 years since the company started. But I always say every day is our starting day. We have to start anew every single day and keep building from the ground up. And so there's a lot more to come in the future. We haven't yet really launched everything that we want to launch. And there's much more to come this year in particular, but the company started about 4 years ago.
What is the start date of blockchain Echo application? I mean, and is there some plans to start it on Coinlist, and approximately when it could be?
So we have not announced anything about a token or a coin so far, so we haven't shared anything about that yet. Right now, we're really focused on our app and our community and the eco points that are moving around in both of those places. But I will say that this year, 2022, is going to be a big year for us, where a lot of things come together, where this app and this community and the whole network around eco and this ecosystem that we're building comes into its own. So I would keep your eyes peeled, which is one of our favorite phrases. Keep your eyes peeled this year in 2022, and there'll be some exciting things happening. And we should maybe talk again in a few months when I can share a little more about exactly what our plans are.
Andy, do you believe that the bear market starts these days, or it will start later, maybe second half of the year, maybe autumn? What is your opinion?
It's very hard to say. And if I've learned one thing from being in crypto for almost a decade, it's that my predictions are almost always wrong. And so I say this with a grain of salt, but I do think it might be the start now. I imagine we'll see some bounces along the way. There'll be some resistance as things go, but I think it might be the start. But I do think that if this is a new bear market, I think it looks pretty different from previous bear markets, because a lot has changed in the ecosystem. And there's a lot more institutional capital in the space right now that's not going to leave, that's staying in no matter what, that has a long-term view. And there's a lot more people building. And I think at the end of the day, people building compelling projects is what propels the space forward and propels the space up. And so if this is the start of a bear market, I think it'll look different. And I think it'll feel different than previous bear markets. And so I'm really interested to see what happens, because it feels like a turning point has been hit. And there's some momentum in the space that I just think isn't going to go away at this point. So we'll see, but I would expect it's the beginning, but it looks different, and it'll be hard to tell exactly what will happen over the next year or two.
So you mentioned Ethereum and the Bitcoin blockchains. What is, in your opinion, is there some maybe prospective blockchains, on your opinion?
Upcoming ones that I like as well. Is that like new blockchains?
Yeah. Not only Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe something more, something else like Solana, or maybe, I don't know. What do you prefer?
I'm interested in a lot of blockchains. I find them all very interesting to observe. I'm very interested in a lot of layer 2 work on Ethereum, and so I'm curious to see what happens there. But I have been really enjoying watching the Solana ecosystem, the Avalanche ecosystem, this kind of burgeoning Mina ecosystem. You mentioned Chia, I think, is another really interesting project, and many more. There's a lot happening right now in the layer 1 space. Polkadot, Cosmos, longtime interests of mine. And there's a lot happening, and I think we're going to see a lot this year as more applications start to get built on all these different chains. I've been playing with Harmony recently, another really interesting one. And so we'll start to see different things get built on different chains, and we'll start to see different chains pick up momentum and see how they perform as they start to actually get used. Because one thing I think a lot of people forget is that Ethereum has years of usage on it. We have a lot of information about how Ethereum performs in different circumstances and a lot of that, and we haven't seen that for a lot of these new blockchains. And so I'm very interested this year to see how all of them perform as more applications get built on top of them. But I like a lot of them. I've been very interested in following many of the new chains.
Imagine that I'm your small brother. Can you advise me the very new blockchain that just appeared, I don't know, maybe last half a year, maybe last year, maybe last month, I don't know, something very, very new?
Something very, very new. Well, the challenge there is that I think a lot of the chains that I've really have been watching have been around for a number of years, but they're only now starting to get built out and really come into their own. So, Solana and Avalanche and Harmony and all of it, like those have been built for years. They've been worked on for years, but only recently have they really started to flourish and be used. And I've paid less attention to ones that have just started to get built very recently, although I probably should pick that back up. But I've been pretty focused on some of these longer term projects that are only now launching. I've been watching for Ethereum 2.0 for a long time, as I think many people have, many years. I think what's interesting is that when you think about Ethereum 2.0, I think you need to think about the layer 2 and roll-up ecosystem around it. I think Ethereum 2.0 with proof of stake by itself is less interesting than Ethereum as a proof of work chain. I like Ethereum as a layer 1 proof of work chain. However, there's this explosion of layer 2 and roll-up protocols. And I think Ethereum 2.0 and proof of stake is the correct decision if you're assuming that there will be many layer 2s and roll-up protocols on top of it. So I think what you're seeing is that Ethereum's building towards a layer 2 future. Ethereum's saying transactions aren't going to mostly happen on our layer 1 chain. We're not going to see most of the activity on the layer 1. It's going to be happening on these roll-ups. And with that framework, then I think Ethereum 2.0 makes a lot of sense. And so I think you have to look at it in a broader context. And I think that's a viable path. Time will tell if it works or not. And to your question of will Ethereum stay number 2 forever? I don't know. I think it's probably more likely that something else flips it at some point than not. But it's in a very strong position. There's a ton of network effects, and it's not going to be easy. So I think maybe 60-40, 60% chance something does flip Ethereum at some point in terms of a layer 1 smart contract chain. But it's hard to say.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. It's nice to hear and to see you. So I hope we will become one of the validators and we will help to the ecosystem and we will help to the project and we will become one of the part of this eco brand.
Я буду красивей и стану моложе, если биткоин